It looks like Factions got delayed today, and we have some juicy bits of information to go over when it comes to this, but we're going to talk about it in the video. So let's get into the video. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's that guy Ken back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about how Naughty Dog has delayed Factions, and they actually tease a single player experience. Not going to go too much into it, but just going to touch on it briefly. But I actually find this to be very, very interesting because there are little bits of information. Bloomberg and Jason Schreier came out and kind of made some comments on it that I want to address, right? Now, before I even get into all of that, my personal take on this whole thing, right, is that I am not that affected by it. And the reason why is that three actually. One reason is that we haven't actually seen the game, right? We don't know what it looks like. We know it's been in development for a long time, but we haven't actually seen the game. So I don't know what it is or how it is or what it's going to be, right? Aside of, going off of what the other Factions was. The other reason is that they haven't actually announced a release date for it. So we weren't really expecting this game to come at any particular time other than, what's his name? Neil Druckmann announcing that the game or confirming that the game was supposed to be shown in 2023, right? And the third reason is that, honestly, man, we have so many games coming out this year, man. From Final Fantasy and, Helldivers 2 and Spider-Man with their amazing showcase that they had at the PlayStation Showcase. There's a lot of games that are coming out this year that I'm not even that worried about it. I'm already backed up as it is, right? Now, what I really want to focus in on this video, right, is this comment from Jason Schreier, right? So I'm going to put this up on the screen so you guys can see it, and I'm going to read it. So this is what he said. He said, Naughty Dog has significantly scaled down the team on its Last of Us multiplayer project. Sources say, as it reassesses the game following Bloomberg's request for the comment, the company put out a Twitter statement today saying that the game was delayed, right? Now, there was some other information that came out before, right, about how Bungie was going around basically vetting the studios, the multiplayer studios specifically, right, and making sure that they fit like a standard of quality. If I can find a picture, I'll put it up there. But that's what they've been doing, right? Because we know Sony's been going down this multiplayer games as a service, live service push, right? This focus. So Bungie obviously was acquired and is there to specifically vet that kind of project, right? And it appears that even with all of the prestige that Naughty Dog has and all of the successes that they've had for years, even they are being vetted in this particular situation, and they've gotten caught in the crossfire. Now, personally, I absolutely love this, and the reason why I love that this is happening is because I think this shows that Sony is willing to put their money where their mouth is, right? Even Naughty Dog, bro. Get this. With all of the successes that Naughty Dog has had over the years, I mean, every single generation, they have had a banger after banger after banger. Massive success across the board for 20 years, right? 2 decades. Sony looked at this with Bungie obviously vetting at the head, right? And said that their project was not enough. It was not enough. Now, people are going to run away with this and say what they're going to say about it, man, and say, doom and gloom or whatever the case, right? But I really, really love this, man, because I think this really showcases, right, that Sony is about what they're about. They're going to talk the talk, but they're going to walk the walk too, man. It reminds me of back in the day when, they had the Raising Kratos documentary and Corey Barlog was talking about how when Shuhei Yoshida came into the office, everybody kind of tightened up and stuff because he was serious about their products being quality, right? And look at how God of War turned out, right? And they were on the brink at the time. Now, obviously, they're not in the same situation now, but Sony is really serious when it comes to this whole thing about making sure that their games are absolutely quality. Because I think the last thing that they want, right, is for them to run into a situation like a Halo or a Redfall or some of these other games that are just not finished, right? A lot of people are upset about this, and understandably so. Nobody wants games to be delayed or whatever the case, right? But this is my belief, because, you know, obviously there was a lot of kind of what you would, I guess you would say, quote unquote, negative news that happened over the last like week or so with the showcase or whatever the case, right? But I think that over time, right now it looks like it might be a little bit tough, but in the future, right, when some of these games start dropping, I think people will really start to see that, you know, Sony and Bungie's actually put in a lot of effort and time to make sure that these games were good. Being that Sony's pushing in this direction, obviously we know Sony has had a pretty rough spot when it comes to multiplayer games, so they're not the most experienced. And this is why I'm actually really glad that Bungie was acquired for this reason, because, you know, they have years and years and years of knowledge and talent, right, when it comes to making multiplayer games. They're one of the most successful multiplayer developers, probably one of the most successful developers in the industry, right? And they've made multiple IPs and franchises that have been incredibly successful, right? So I think that with their leadership in terms of vetting these games at the helm, I really am glad that they're here to do that specifically, right? And I think when people start to see those games, it's going to make a big difference, right? People are going to complain about it now, but I really think it's going to show when the games actually do start releasing and people start to see what it actually will look and play like. Now, one thing that I kind of want to address as well is that I see a lot of people saying stuff like, oh, you know, if this was Xbox, people would be calling doom and gloom and you know, development hell and all of this other stuff, right? Well, this is what I have to say to that. Because you have to remember, they are not in the same position, right? Sony and Microsoft are not in the same position. Let's not kid ourselves. Totally different. We are not the same, right? Giancarlo Esposito, right? We are not the same, right? Sony has had a reputation of releasing high quality games for years. You know what I'm saying? So whenever they have a game that kind of falls outside of that standard of quality, it's an outlier. You know what I mean? So when it comes to these projects or whatever, them pushing or forging into a new uncharted territory, right? And maybe things might not be going the way that they are. They have a reputation. You know, they have garnered goodwill with people, and I think people are more willing to give them the benefit of the doubt for, you know, forging into a new project or whatever, new direction for whatever they're trying to do. In this case, multiplayer. Microsoft, on the other hand, has had the exact opposite happen, right? They have had a track record of releasing games that are incredibly unfinished, broken, or whatever, right? Low quality stuff. I'm not really that crazy into Metacritic, but low rated stuff as well. I mean, consistently for years, right? They've been in the gaming industry for so long, man. You would think that they would have their stuff together by now, but they don't. So it is what it is. But they are not in the same position. Sony and Microsoft clearly have there's a clear disparity when it comes to quality between these two, right? So when it comes to this news, man, I think that it has less to do with Sony going through like a whole bunch of tribulations, whereas in the studios are actually being vetted properly to make sure that their projects are quality products. I think there's a massive difference there, right? And I love it. I really, really do. I'm so glad that they're doing this, because I think if Bungie was not there and they kind of went into this blind, right, I think it would have been a complete disaster. But I don't think that's the case. I think once we start seeing these games, they're going to come out, I think, looking way better than what people expect. And I think they're going to, you know, I'm not expecting all of them to be successful, but I think they're going to be really, really good. And I think it's going to kind of like show people what a focus on quality and what Sony can do, and kind of translate their talent from like their single player stuff more into their multiplayer realm. But yeah, anyway, That's all I had to say about this, guys. I don't have anything else to say on this particular topic. If you liked the video, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Hit that notification bell. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.